There is a place on earth where the ground itself remembers being young, where rivers carved cathedrals out of stone before humans had a word for God, where a country stood alone, spear in hand, and told an empire no, and meant it.
This is not a place you visit casually. This is a place you earn. Welcome to Ethiopia, the only nation in Africa that never wore the chains of colonial rule. The birthplace of coffee, the resting place of humanity's oldest ancestors, and a land where the past isn't behind you, it's standing right next to you, watching you catch your breath. While the rest of the African continent was carved up at conference tables in Europe, one kingdom picked up rifles instead of pens. In 1896, at the Battle of Adwa, Ethiopian forces under Emperor Menelik II defeated an invading Italian army, a victory so decisive it forced European powers to recognize Ethiopia as a sovereign equal, not a colony to be claimed. That single battle still shapes how Ethiopians see themselves today, not as a country that survived history, but as one that wrote its own world. Long before Adwa, this land was already ancient. Fossil hunters walking the Afar region in 1974 uncovered a 3.2 million-year-old skeleton they'd named Lucy, one of the earliest known human ancestors ever found. Scientists now call this region, quite literally, the cradle of humankind. Between those two facts, the oldest bones and the
Around the 1st century AD, a kingdom rose in Ethiopia's north that would trade with Rome, Persia, and India, the Kingdom of Aksum. It minted its own coins centuries before most of Europe did. It built towering stone stelae, some over 20 meters tall, as monuments to its kings. And in the 4th century, its rulers did something almost no other ancient power did this early. They converted the entire kingdom to Christianity. That decision still echoes today. Ethiopia's Orthodox Church claims to house the Ark of the Covenant itself, guarded in Aksum by a single monk who never leaves its chapel, and never lets anyone else see it either. Whether or not the Ark is real, the belief is. And that belief built some of the strangest, most breathtaking churches on earth.
In the highland town of Lalibela, medieval builders didn't build churches upward. They dug them downward, carving 11 churches directly out of solid volcanic rock, each one a single continuous piece of stone, connected by tunnels and trenches below the surface. The most famous, Beit Georgis, is shaped like a perfect cross when viewed from above, invisible from the ground until you're standing at its very edge. Local tradition says angels finished the work overnight. Historians say it took generations of stonemasons, working with nothing but hand tools and unimaginable patience. Either way, 9 centuries later, pilgrims still walk barefoot through these stone corridors every year for the January festival of Timkat, reenacting Christ's baptism in pools carved from the same rock. Not every sacred place in Ethiopia is easy to love. Carved into a sandstone pillar in the Erta Mountains, the Church of AbunaYemata Guh sits over 2,500 meters above sea level, reachable only by a climb with no ropes, no rails, and no room for error. Priests have made this ascent for generations, some carrying infants on their backs for baptism at the summit. There is no elevator to faith here, just bare rock, open sky, and a several hundred-meter drop for anyone who loses their nerve. Those who reach the top are rewarded with 15th century frescoes so vividly preserved they look freshly painted, a fragile, secret masterpiece that most of the world will never lay eyes on in person.
Far to the south, along the Omo River, more than a dozen distinct ethnic groups still live largely as their ancestors did. The Mercy, known for the striking lip plates worn by their women. The Hamar, whose young men prove their readiness for marriage by leaping bare-chested across the backs of a line of cattle. The Karo, who paint their bodies in white chalk and ochre for ceremonies as old as memory itself. This valley isn't a museum. It's a living argument that modernity is a choice, not an inevitability, even as roads, dams, and tourism slowly press in from every direction.
Finally, the journey returns to Addis Ababa, Africa's diplomatic capital, home to the African Union headquarters and a city of nearly 5 million people balancing glass towers against centuries-old churches. It's fitting that the birthplace of coffee is also the seat of African diplomacy. Legend says an Ethiopian goat herd named Kaldi discovered coffee beans after noticing his goats grew energetic from eating them. Today, the Ethiopian coffee ceremony, beans roasted, ground, and brewed fresh in front of guests, remains one of the country's most sacred daily rituals, an act of hospitality performed the same way for generations. Ethiopia never asked permission to exist on its own terms. It didn't wait for empires to validate its faith, its independence, or its history. It simply kept building, churches into mountains, kingdoms into legend, coffee into ritual, and let the rest of the world catch up. Some countries are visited. Ethiopia is witnessed.
If you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more amazing stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious.